My name's Don Bridges. Jill was going to introduce me. Most of you guys, I've been around at, I guess this is my sixth, seventh. Yeah. So anyway, I'm Don Bridges. And the session that we're going to talk about is integrating parts information to procedural information. One thing that I will mention on behalf of AEM, well, probably one of a couple things that I'll mention on behalf of AEM, is that there is an evaluation form. Whether I'm good or horrible, you will not hurt my feelings unless you talk bad about mom. And so if you would fill that out once we're done, and that would be much appreciated. So the topic today is talking about integrating parts information into procedural information. These are the things that I would like to talk about. So they tell me in good speaking that I'm supposed to tell you what we're going to talk about and then do that. So if you were attending, how many of y'all were at Cincinnati last year? Anybody? A few people. So this is the presentation that I had last year. And it's up on the YouTubes. You can find it pretty easy if you look for just about any of that stuff. And oh, by the way, we are recording this session, and I probably should mention that this session today will be up on the YouTubes probably in a couple of weeks. If you would like to get an email that says, hey, here's, it's available. If you want to go share it with your colleagues that couldn't be here, there are some sign-up sheets in the back. We don't sell email lists or anything like that. So more than happy to send you an email that says, hey, if you want to go access it, share it with your colleagues, that's fine. And also there's these, so for boomers like myself, going back to this morning's presentation, not so much a thing, but with you X's and Y's and Z's and millennials, there's some stickers in the back that talk about parts plus procedures with a big heart on it, which apparently is a thing. Knock yourself out. So when I spoke last year, the presentation was really about what can you do as a technical communicator to go make your equipment as safe as possible, realizing people do dumb things. This is a little bit like that. Your job is a couple things. One is to go protect the best interest of your employer, and that falls into a couple things, driving safe operation of the equipment that's being manufactured, adhering to safety standards, providing clear and unambiguous information. We certainly need to go work efficiently, and that means automate manual processes, be able to go integrate information because information comes from more than one source. And yeah, you work for large companies, and yeah, at the end of the day, their job is to go make money. So you want to go increase the sales of the equipment that you make. And how do you do that? Invariably increasing customer satisfaction. That's having information that's easy to use, easy to understand, clear, concise, consistent. And yeah, we also have the responsibility that we're trying to go protect the best interest of our customers. And essentially providing them the information that they need to do their job, and driving safe operations, and be easy. I don't want you guys creating a system that's so onerous that it's really difficult to maintain. So that's kind of our job. As far as this kind of falls into background information and the importance of spare parts, and which is what we're talking about. And at the end of the day, spare parts to a large part drive more revenue, certainly drive more profitability than actually selling the equipment. If you bought a printer, you can go buy a nice printer for $100, but the ink cartridges, about 3 of them, it's those spare parts that really is where Hewlett-Packard and Brother and everybody else is making their money. As far as tech support, one of the nice things about this job is that we're able to go talk to a lot of different people and say, when you're, your call center, what kind of volume do your call centers, what information are they dealing with? And initially, this number was 95%. 95% of, and I've heard that number, 95% of call center inquiries are about parts information. So invariably, that is what's driving call centers. If you had no parts, yeah, so. So, okay, well, maybe it's more better to go to information online. And yeah, that's the way things are going, is we're presenting information real time, up to date, where people can go find the information they need at 2 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, regardless of where they are. most people prefer, if you had bad call center experiences, they'd prefer getting their information online than speaking with a customer service rep. So that's the last statistic's quite a number. And as far as analytics, I know this subject has come up before, but if you're delivering PDFs, really the only thing that you know is, someone downloaded the manual. You really don't know what terms they looked for, or what specific parts of the manual that they were interested in. And if you are delivering more information, transportation, handling, repair of the control unit, it becomes a much more useful bit of information than, somebody downloaded this manual, versus, somebody was interested in how to change the canister valve in my Model 700. So for technical content, the content you create, yes, this does not cover all examples, but we look at it as it basically falls into three different spheres. One is operations information, the second is service information, and parts. And you'll notice parts is really, yes, it's connected to operation information, but it's generally not an integral part of it. Service information and parts information certainly live together, go together, and that's how that fits. So being an engineer in my younger days, talked about, I like flowcharts. So do you manufacture complex equipment? If the answer is no, I'm going to ask, is this really where you want to be? Do you offer a parts catalog? And if you answer no, I would kind of say, that's, how does that work? Do you deliver PDF or PDF and HTML? And generally, yeah, I could have added apps here. And if you're delivering PDF only, I guess I would take the attitude it's a bad customer experience, and we talked about customer experience driving revenue. You really have no analytics other than, someone downloaded the manual, that's nice. You'll have the highest support cost and the lowest part sales. And any of your executives would say, spare part sales, that's goodness, and support costs, that's badness. Do you link procedures and parts? So I guess, do you show of hands, we'll take this through. Do you manufacture complex equipment? Show of hands. Anybody with hands down, we're going to have to ask why you're here. Do you offer a parts catalog? Everybody I'm still with you so far. PDF only. Okay. I mean, it is what it is. And that's where you're here is to learn why, maybe that's not the best long-term idea. And then for those of you that are delivering information in a dynamic portal HTML kind of way, do you link procedures and parts? All right, wow.
Like we just started.
Okay, you're just, well, but.
We started last year and it's,
So it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we would say, and hopefully where I go with this is, linking procedural information and parts information gives you a good CX, customer experience. It maximizes the safety. How do I make it as easy as possible for the mechanics to find the right, or technicians to find the right information they need to do their job? And you'll have the highest part sales. So historically, parts lists are kind of different than procedural information. Different source content, sometimes different departments, certainly different processes, sometimes different groups. It's a different presentation. In a parts catalog, it's explodographic list. That's not what a procedural manual is at all. Parts are where aftermarket profitability comes into play, and parts are kind of their own silo of information. That's typically how we've seen. Whereas integrating the parts information is connected to the service manual, and the service manual is connected to the parts manual. Why? To go make it easier to find, access that information. They don't have to be in the same format, but it sure helps. And things like InDesign, FrameMaker, Word are really problematic because A, they're proprietary, they're difficult to go present that information in a browser, and you probably already figured out. PDF, it's a good paper. They're good things, but I don't know if they're necessarily the best CX. You have limited abilities to go tag data, and finally, it's not built for large volumes of content. And I will say structured content, and so here's my little disclaimer. When I say structured content, invariably I'm talking about XML. And if you wonder, well, Don, what's that? We can have a conversation later, but we'll leave it for now. Structured content supports all those things. So what's the problem? As I said, the service utilizes parts utilizes the service. Identification of the correct part can be tough, not always, and that's why people, I think, started to go and look at 3D models as a way to go, maybe if I spin it, zoom, and do all those clever things. Ordering the wrong part creates problems. It creates problems because now I've got the wrong part that it won't fix the machine, delays, extra cost, frustration, and sometimes techs, and this probably doesn't, it's not reported to you as a manufacturer, but when the wrong part instead of the correct part, it causes problems. Does it cause really bad problems? You probably never hear about it. But in TSB, certainly know about it. And the reason that these, the examples that I found are invariably from the aviation industry is there's no pulling over the side of the road at 30,000 feet. These are, bad things happen sometimes when you install the wrong part. So what are the business requirements? And typically we look at things from that perspective of saying, what are the business requirements? What is, I don't like, it's not a good business requirement. But if I'm, how do I go make my equipment safer? That is a business requirement. We found parts information invariably changes much faster than procedural information. And then being able to go, what is your single source of truth? Is it, most people I think would say is the engineering data is the single source of truth. And then, Chris, do I see Chris? I don't see Chris. Talking about being able to go order those parts and make it as easy as we can for people to go order those parts with the right part number, dyslexia where the part numbers get mixed up. And then for you, the content creator, how do we go make it as easy as possible? So I guess I'm gonna get to the point of saying, paper, it's going forward, it's probably, maybe it was great in 1975. In 2024, probably not so much. The information is outdated about the time you print it. It's difficult to identify what the part is. You're hoping to find the right part in a paper manual or even a PDF manual. If you're ordering it, you have to invariably go transcribe numbers. And then there's, if there's links, there's manual links. So we feel that a digital paradigm, and I know a lot of you guys have gone to electronic parts catalog, we think a digital paradigm is certainly much better. And whether that's HTML or a proprietary browser, and oh, by the way, JANA does not sell any software. So when I talk about, boy, these are good direction, it's not like I'm lining my pockets. It is a way that my job is to say, here's the options. You pick one, and oh, by the way, we're not selling them. So if I were to go cook this down to what are the business requirements, what should you be looking for in a solution, these are the things that I would say. And I've kind of broken these into the internal creation and management of the content and external, the delivery side of it. But we're going to say, proprietary is invariably a better solution for you long term. You need that single source of truth. So when I talk about E-bombs or M-bombs, S-bombs, you guys know what I'm talking about, yeah. Yep. Leverage content reuse. Most people want to go leverage content reuse in their procedural information. And I would say, why not in your parts information? Delivering not only to desktops, but mobile devices is important, and the minimal amount of effort to go do that. And then integrating parts information and procedural information and support a shopping list or a shopping cart. So on the subject of electronic, and any questions so far? Or it's just the old guy blathering up at the front? Okay. Electronic parts catalog, I think Most of them they've come a long way, and we've been tracking this stuff for 20 years. Most of them are intuitive, easy to use, better than paper, better than PDF, easier to update, easier to access, integrated with PLM. Some support 3D models, which some people like, but they do eat up a huge amount of bandwidth. And finally, some are integrated with procedures. So if you're part of the TechPubs committee, you saw this information that was presented last year, and it talks about what are the different tools that AEM members are using. This was part of the benchmarking subcommittee, and it looks like InDesign and Excel and FrameMaker is about 2/3, 62%, and others 25%. Whereas the tools for procedural manuals, InDesign, FrameMaker, Word, very similar, XML, 19%. So invariably, what AEM members are using is tools that go support PDF delivery. And so, yeah, do I think it's probably in your best interest to long-term look at changing tools and moving towards structured content? Yeah, I do. Why? Because it goes back and meets those business requirements. Whereas Frame, InDesign, Word really don't. So in the spirit of naming names, these are some of the more prevalent EIPC, or Electronic Illustrated Parts Catalogs, tool vendors in alphabetical order. Which one is better than the other? I'm not in a position to say, because I don't know your business case, I don't know your needs, I don't know your budget, but I can say these are the ones that, 8, 9, that we run into most often. So as far as information workflow, how does information start from your engineering folks and flow? Well, procedural information, it's a fairly straight shot. Is that I'm not only creating operations manual and maintenance manual, but it translates relatively well. For parts, it's a little different because you're coming from an EBOM to invariably a manufacturing MBOM that may be stored in an ERP system, and creating, for some people, an SBOM. Now, some people deliver EBOMs to your end users, which I scratch my head a little bit, because you may not even stock all those part numbers, but certainly you stock MBOMs, or you stock the components of a manufacturing BOM, because that's what's being used to go assemble the equipment. I think the smarter solution is to go create a service BOM. What do you mean by that? You know, you've got a bolt and a nut and a washer. Why not create a kit, you know, a fastener kit, and selling it that way? So you're only selling things that really, do you want to sell a bolt? Nobody wants to go sell a bolt. Selling a kit, okay, I start creating a little more volume. And then the trick is that last part of saying, how do I go integrate maintenance manuals with parts catalogs? So, well, what I'm going to do is shift gears a little bit and show you a solution that we have developed internally. Besides a XML editor, which, oh, by the way, we still don't sell, that's really the only piece of software that you have to have. It's $500. It's cheap. So what I'm going to show you is basically how could you go leverage your engineering data, and this example, everything came from the engineering, at least the parts catalog came from the engineering data, and present it in HTML. So one thing that I should mention before my colleague Stefan gets into the demo part of this for the next few minutes is disclosure. We used a data model called DITA. And DITA allows for something called customizations. It is, custom software. No, it's not custom software. It's an extension of the software. And for instance, if you look at, I mentioned this to someone last night, the out-of-the-box data model does not include part number, part name. That's a problem. So we made a customization that included part number and part name and a few other things. And in this case, it's a very generic approach that we can tweak to an individual OEM's requirements, and it'll work with any content management system that is DITA compliant.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this demonstration. My name is Stefan Johns, and today I will show you a data plugin that we've created in JANA Labs. The plugin adds a parts data model to data and provides a custom HTML5 transformation. Let me walk you through how it works and its benefits. We've extended the Data Open Toolkit to generate fully responsive HTML5 output. It handles data content and delivers it in an interactive format, perfect for parts catalogs. Here you can see the responsive design in action by changing the size of the browser. Notice how the image reorganizes based on the screen size. Now let me show you the key feature, parts data. You can see here how parts are highlighted when you click on them in the image. And there's an option to add them to a shopping cart. For example, if I wanted to add a few screws, I simply click the number of screws that I want to add, click on the shopping cart, as many as you need, and the cart icon updates instantly. Now, if you had a system like Shopify integrated, the cart could send the order directly for processing. However, in this demo, I've set up an auto-drafted email. Quick question for the audience. How are your customers currently ordering parts? For those using PDFs to illustrate their parts catalogs, most likely your customers either call someone or manually copy and paste part numbers into a website. Our solution simply eliminates that hassle while allowing direct orders from a parts catalog interface. Now let's talk about how do we get the parts data into data in the first place. Typically, people manually copy from an engineering bone. We built a tool that automates this process. Our tool connects directly to an ERP system. For example, if you type in a part number, click Create, it generates a valid data file all formatted properly. You can then tweak it as necessary, but the heavy lifting is done. No more copying and pasting from PDFs. For more advanced systems, we can integrate directly into the authoring tool. Simply click on an icon, type in a valid part number, click OK. And if that part number exists in your ERP system, it will generate the applicable parts. Once the data content is ready, it's time to publish. I'm using Oxygen XML as my editor, which comes with the Data Open Toolkit. I have two transformation scenarios here, one for PDF and the other for HTML5. With just a few clicks, you can generate both outputs. The first output that I generate will be the HTML5 version that we saw earlier. And now in just a few seconds, you'll see the PDF version pop up as well. Now this PDF contains the same parts catalog, but in a print-friendly format. One of the coolest features is the interactivity between the parts catalog and the maintenance menu. For instance, if you're working on replacing a part like this assembly here, you can click on a link and it takes you directly to the procedure for that part. Similarly, you can link back to the parts catalog from the maintenance menu. That's a brief overview of what our Data OT plugin and custom transformations can do. It streamlines the creation of interactive, responsive parts catalogs and automates the process of integrating data from your ERP system. Thank you for watching and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
So as far as what's required to go make this work, these are the things that you have to have your content in. This works with structured content XML, your content has to be in XML. That's probably the hardest lift here. The content editor is Oxygen that we're using. It's $500 a year per writer. It helps to have a content management software. Could you put this? Yeah. Yes, you could. Style sheets, which you can use the Open Toolkit for, free. And of course, you have to have your engineering data someplace to go pull that information from. Even the widget that we built, that's a no charge item. We're happy to pass that along to you. So if I go summarize before we open this up for questions, and I do have nice prizes if you ask a good question. 3 types of content: content, service, and parts. Parts drive aftermarket revenue, but they're often not integrated with, I guess, C&H was maybe the first case I've heard. Yeah, they're actually integrating parts information with service content. We think the paper paradigm, the PDF paradigm, is probably not a great long-term solution, especially if you want to go have a good CX, and especially if you want to go drive spare parts sales. We think a digital paradigm is a much better way to go meet business needs, and being able to go integrate the service and parts information meets those business needs. So that is the 2 of us. I finished 5-10 minutes early, but we'll have a few questions before they open up that wall, and we let you guys go to lunch. Questions?
So are you guys also, or is there in the works like a mobile app also to integrate the parts list?
So is there a mobile app? The answer is, as an output, yes, we can go deliver to a mobile app. Do we have a mobile app that I'm going to sell you? No. I'm going to say, what platform would you like? We are not an app developer, but do we have customers that are taking that XML information and it's responsive, meaning it'll fit every form factor, and you can go deliver it in an app.
And is it also, for the parts, is it integrated? So if you update a part, it will update it online?
That's correct.
Okay.
Is the Oxygen software locally housed, or do you guys use a cloud service?
Invariably, there are 2 flavors of it, and the answer is depends on the IT configuration. I think you probably have the heavy desktop client installed, true? But we have some customers that are using the web version.
So I may have missed it there, but it was building the list off of the SBOM or the EBOM?
In this case, we use the EBOM, and the reason being is that's where most people start. You can go in the SBOM, and we have a way that we can show you how to go manipulate that EBOM to go make it an SBOM. Invariably, that requires service engineers to go do that. It says, here's the parts that I want to combine. No, we're not going to go sell this part, so on and so forth. So it's manipulation of that database. And oh, by the way, when Stefan was showing you the raw XML data, you might have said, well, gosh, that kind of looks like a database. And it is. So, if databases scare you, then this is probably maybe, there are workarounds to go hide it. And oh, by the way, when we're asking an engineer to go review this, I'm hiding all of the angle bracket stuff because engineers get scared by that. And we don't want to scare engineers.
Sure, thanks.
Yep. Got one in the front.
So when they select a part, will it automatically lead them to a kit that might be available that would apply all those parts that they might need?
It depends on how the OEM has set things up, but the short answer is invariably what's shown in the parts catalog is the service BOM that will show, okay, these 3 items are comprised of in a fastener kit. And that, because you want to present it versus taking them to another step that says, well, you selected a bolt. We're not going to sell you a bolt. We're going to sell you a bolt, a washer, and a nut.
So how are you tying together the parts information to the service information? Is it everything derived from the SBOM?
Everything's derived from the BOM, regardless of which flavor that you're using, but we want to go tie that through hyperlinks that are sustainable, meaning if you change the information, it will be a persistent hyperlink until you go change it. And so we're providing hyperlinks from a procedural content to the service, or to the parts information, and from the parts information back to the service. So hyperlinks is the short answer.
But is that done outside of the structured content?
It's done inside the structured
It
content.
is. Okay.
Now, one thing that we didn't show you, but we can, is that reuse is on the procedural world is kind of people, okay, I use this same assembly or this same procedure in multiple machines. I use the same warning in multiple machines. The service BOM, or the parts catalog, we've taken a very similar approach, is saying, okay, you can go create what DITA calls modules, what you and I would call reusable chunks of information. And if you have that reusable, if you have the control, a pump used in 7 different applications, you only create it once and then reuse it 6 times.
The commerce side of it.
It doesn't do anything with the commerce side of it other than I can send you the information that says, here's the part number, here's the part name, here's how many I want, and then that is sent to for sake of the discussion, a Shopify card. Correct. So that as a end user, it knows, because who I logged on, oh, you're Don. You work at Riverview Service Supply, so it knows who I am. It knows the machine that I'm working on because I'm working out of a specific parts catalog. And it says, here's what I want to go order.
So from the shopping cart, it'll go to
right. This is not a shopping cart application per se. It's not a Shopify. I'm not trying to go.
No, I'm saying once you make your order, it you can put a link there saying, okay, now you go to our e-commerce site to make the purchase.
Correct. It's sent automatically to that e-commerce site. So you've asked 2 questions, which is great. We'll give you the first choice. So I'm from New Mexico. We have some lavender lotions and potions from New Mexico. We have some Mexican spiced chocolate coffee from New Mexico, and have some candy from New Mexico. Which your preference? You'll take the coffee. Stefan, can you? I still have some really good lavender and some really good chocolate. So there's got to be at least 2 more questions.
I'm just curious how you would handle, like I saw you had a nice exploded view image. Let's say someone updates the BOM, but now the image is out of date. How would you handle that workflow?
You're going to have to go update the image as well. I mean, there's no magic to it. It's just, okay, we can go create a workflow that says when you go get a new image, is the BOM correct? When you get a new BOM, is the image correct? But yeah, that step is, and if you're working with if you use vector graphics, those links are already there and they're pervasive.
I can always hope for magic.
Yeah. I like magic too. Chocolate, lavender. Chocolate. That one. Okay, still got a nice TSA approved lavender set. Don't make me take it home to the wife. I'll do it. God damn it. Oh.
Oh wait, where's the hand? Oh, right here. Sorry. Wait. Okay, who has a hand up? Sorry.
See, they're tricking you.
You were talking about integrating it quickly and faster, because right now it's kind of a tedious way to do it if we're entering into part track.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that there was software that you could have free that would make that go faster.
There is software. So this is, and this is something that Stefan, who wears the hat of Director of Technology, you can use AI to go say, where are places that I should go?
There you go. I was just going to say earlier we talked about AI helping us in this.
Yeah. But
quest.
That's also, would I rely on that 100% without a human ever looking at it? No.
Okay.
But we use, If I use the term metadata, we will use AI to go through and comb content to go say, what's the metadata that should be in this content from this list? And we can go enrich data programmatically, which is much more efficient and much more accurate than humans do it. Sorry, tech writers, yay, computers. But it's really the, I'm sorry?
I can demo that outside.
Yeah. If you guys want to go see any of this stuff, we'll put Stefan on the spot. You really got maybe the best of the three, I don't know. So when you visit Albuquerque on Rio Bravo Boulevard, huge lavender fields. That's where they grow this stuff. So hopefully I made, 11:24, how about that? So we have a whole minute to spare. So if you would like a recording of this presentation, there's some sign-up sheets in the back. The review, I'm having an Alzheimer's moment here, where you can fill out your review of my presentation. Don't hold back any punches. You will not hurt my feelings. And there's also a couple stickers that talk about that a little heart with parts and procedures. If you want to take one, put it on a water bottle on a computer, knock yourself out. And other than that, we'll be around for the next couple days. And I appreciate you guys hanging with me, and have a great lunch.